Alright, so now that we've filled our model, let's start working with some brushes to apply a little bit of Polypaint. So I'm just going to talk about the basics of Polypaint in this video, just in case anybody needs a refresher. So I do like to just drop down the Polypaint and make sure Colorize is turned on, and you can see what happens if it's not. It's more not showing any of the color information. It's just material. So we've got that colorize button. It looks like it's automatically turned on in this version of ZBrush. So that may not be something that you actually need to even check. But after that's been turned on, we've got our color picker over here, and let's just flip over to some reference. I've got this guy up here, and he's going to be my main source of reference throughout painting. I have a couple other pictures of it as well. Um, but so let's just maybe pick like this purple color here and like a yellow color just for now so you can see. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let's make sure we're selected on the head. Um, and I'm going to pick the first color. I'm going to pick like just maybe we'll pick like a yellowish orange kind of like what we saw on some of the more saturated areas of the crab. And then for this one, I already actually have a kind of a good little purple color. But let's just make that like less saturated for now. Um, so out here is where you pick the color. And in here is like where you can change the saturation, the light and darkness of it. So here's your two main colors, and you can just switch the color by clicking switch color there, and it will switch between the two. And you can also alternate by hitting Alt, or yeah, I believe it's Alt. So uh, yellow is the secondary color right now, and purple is the main color. So let's just say we're just filling in, just painting over it. Um, And if for some reason, again, you wanted to fill the entire object with that color again, all you would need to do is come back over to color and just do the fill object again. And now the whole head is purple. But yeah, so if we wanted to just paint like a couple areas, the yellow color, you can just hit the Alt and start kind of brushing in a little bit of that yellow. And you can see we're getting a nice soft edge on that yellow there. But if for some reason we wanted it to be, obviously that's pressure sensitive, so if I press harder, oh, I let go of Alt. So if you wanted that to be a primary color and you didn't want to have to hit Alt, just do that switch color again. And now you're, obviously this is pressure sensitive. So the harder you press, the more saturated yellow you're going to get. The other thing is just the same with sculpting. If you want a smaller brush, you can use your brackets. If you want a larger brush, use your brackets as well. Or you can just come up here and do as normal. Same with the focal shift as well. This is going to control the softness of the brush. So if your focal shift is all the way down, you're going to get a hard edge there. And if you're, let's just step back a little bit so we have some space to work with. If your focal shift is smaller, the smaller or the larger you make it, you're going to have the softer edge. So most of the time I'm painting with a soft edge. The other thing to mention that sometimes you might not know right off the bat is that you want to make sure Z add or Z sub is turned off, because we're not trying to sculpt unless you're intentionally trying to sculpt, because you can see if I turn on Z add, it's actually sculpting on the model. And right now we don't want that. You might be able to, if you wanted to like accentuate a line that you wanted to color and you wanted it to get something you were painting, you wanted it to sculpt as well, you could turn it on. But for the most part, I have that turned off. And yeah, so that way we're just working with the RGB, which is obviously the color. And yeah, so you can obviously do pretty much anything you want, any colors. We are going to talk about in the next video a little bit just about adding some strokes and some alphas so that we can start messing around with that kind of stuff and making our creature look even more cool and more realistic. So I'm just going to undo all this. I was just kind of painting on it just to show you the very basics of how the poly paint works. So, alright guys, I'll see you in the next video.